Hi, this is Trisha from Lemon Paper Lab. In this video, we are going to look at one of my pattern starter templates. The template we are working with today is version 7. This is designed at a 4:3 ratio, which is 7200 pixels by 5400 pixels. This template will be available to download in my Patreon page. I also have this template and more in my Ultimate Pattern Maker Toolkit for Photoshop, which includes all of my Photoshop templates and actions to help improve your workflow when designing in Photoshop. And I will leave a link in the description below to both my Patreon page and this toolkit. Currently, I have the template open here. And what you'll notice is we have 6 different artboards with a slight variation of this repeat. In the layers panel here, we see our different artboards, and then we have our smart object. We'll go ahead and click to edit this smart object. In the smart object, we see our line layer. It's repeated in the corners to create that diagonal. And then you are going to click in again into this line. And then this is the area that we will edit. So I'm going to zoom out Command with the minus key. So here we have our line that we can edit. In the layers panel, we'll see 2 layers. We have our line and then we have a reference one. I'm going to turn off the visibility of this one. So as we edit the line, we won't see it, but you'll see this reference margin. We have 440, which is just this pixels from the top or bottom, and then 330 represents the pixels from the right or left side. I just wanted to give you those for reference. In this case, we currently have a guide layout, but if you ever want to change your guide layout, those are the reference margins from the edge. So we'll make sure this line is selected. We'll click to our shape tool here, and here we can change the width of our line. So currently we're at 1100 pixels. Let's go ahead and bring that down to 800, and we get a smaller line here. So let's go ahead and save that. Command or Control S to save this smart object. We'll jump back in, and we need to save this smart object as well. Command or Control S. And then we will jump into our template, and we see that it has been updated here. This template comes with an action. So let's go ahead and load that action into Photoshop. To do that, you want to make sure Actions panel is open. You can find the Actions panel under Window, selecting Actions here, and then we'll just go to the menu icon here, and you're going to click on Load Actions. Here, navigate to the Action Pattern Starter Template 7. It has a .atn file which represents actions in Photoshop, and then you'll just click to open it. Here we have the actions loaded, and it says define 6 patterns. So we'll go ahead and click on that action, and we will hit the play button. What this action will do is it will automatically save each of our artboards out for the patterns. So we'll see how these patterns look. We'll go ahead and open a new document. So I'm going to go to File, New. I'm going to open the dimensions of our swatch. So we're going to go 7200 pixels by 5400 pixels. And we'll just click on Create here. And then we'll click on one of our pattern layers here. Can double click in, and we will scale it down. And then let's go ahead and color it by adding a solid color adjustment layer. I'll leave it black for the moment. And then I'm going to duplicate this layer. Command or Control J. We'll drag it to the bottom. Let's change out that color. We'll add white, FFF. And then we'll just create a clipping mask here. Right click, create clipping mask. And now we have our colored stripes. So we can pick any different colors we want for our color. So here is the first pattern, just a simple stripe pattern. We have our chevron pattern. We have chevron to the side, and then it also creates these kind of diagonal shaped patterns. And then we also have this trellis type pattern here. So let's go ahead and create another one. So I'm going to jump back into our line here. Let's go ahead and just duplicate our line, Command or Control J. I'm just going to turn off the visibility so I have that one as a reference. And then let's go ahead and change our stroke here. I'm going to make it much smaller. Let's go 350. And then let's go ahead and duplicate this, Command or Control J. We'll get the move tool here. And then just moving our line, let's select both of them. And then we'll just drag it until we get those guides to appear. Now that we have it centered, let's go ahead and save it, Command or Control S. We'll jump into our object here, do the same thing, Command or Control S. And then we'll jump into our template layer. And we see that the smart objects have been updated. You'll see here that you see kind of that line. And if you actually zoom in, that disappears when you zoom in. So at a distance, it might look like there's a break in the template here, but when you actually zoom in, it goes away, so it's not an issue. So we'll go ahead and save this pattern here. We have our action ready to go, so we'll go ahead and click on play. And then we can jump in and test it in our document here just to see how they look. We have our stripes and our various variations of this pattern. Let's go ahead and test out one more. So we'll jump back into our line document here. I'll turn off the visibility. We'll add a new layer and then I'm going to use the ellipse tool here, just holding shift as I draw it out. We'll use that move tool V on the keyboard, and then I'm going to bring it to the corner here and then just duplicate it, Command or Control J. We'll drag it to this corner as well. We'll duplicate it again, Command or Control J. And then I'm just going to create a couple more as we fill out this line here. And then I'm just going to duplicate this as well. So another option is you can go Option or Alt and then just drag it out. And then I'm going to make it smaller. So I'm just going to hold Shift and Option and it will just resize in place. And now we are going to put another small one. Let's go a little bit smaller there. Okay. And then I'm going to put a dot here. So I'm going to modify my grid lines just so I can get the grid to be there. So let's go ahead and go to View, Guides, New Guide Layout. In this case, I want 8 columns and 8 rows, and then we want to set our margin here. So scroll back down, we had margin on the top and bottom was 440. And then our left and right was 330, so we'll add that back in. There we go. And we'll click on OK there. And then now we have our reference point for where we want this circle to be. So we'll go ahead and duplicate that 3 more times. And then we will position it along our line here. Okay, so we have our line here. So let's go ahead and save this, Command or Control S. We'll jump into our object. We'll save this one, Command or Control S. And then we'll jump into our template here and we have our repeat. So let's go ahead and jump to our actions. We'll go ahead and play our action. And then we'll test it out here. We can see the different variations of our pattern. So I hope you enjoy using this template and finding different ways and different unique patterns that you can create with it. This template will be available to download in my Patreon page. I also have this template and more in my Ultimate Pattern Maker Toolkit for Photoshop, which includes all of my Photoshop templates and actions to help improve your workflow when designing in Photoshop. And I will leave a link in the description below to both my Patreon page and this toolkit. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment below. This is Trisha from Lemon Paper Lab. See you next time.